losing. They need to be able to nail this one down when it matters, when it counts. This is the time for Vici Gaming to come out and start this split off with a win.
Suning adapting pretty heavily their bans this game because they've gone for the Xayah, they've gone for the Yuumi once again, but the Xayah and Nico, these are specific target bans.
Now teams going into the future, regardless of win or loss here, will notice, take note, Suning is banning Yuumi on both sides. This is their first blue side game of the split, and they decided they don't even want to touch this champion on blue side. So maybe it's just, it goes and calls out that, you know, Sword Art is not ready. He doesn't feel comfortable with either his team playing it or himself playing it. I mean, that could change come next time around with some added practice, but as it stands, uncomfortable.
Suning going to be picking up the Olaf, so probably not going to see the Olaf top.
That's what I was saying.
Might. It's still an opportunity, Raz.
No, I was like, just pick it up for Hacker. Hacker's Olaf is fantastic. He's been, I don't want to say it's his best jungler. I think his Camille was fantastic. Now, that being said, no one's going to be playing Camille, especially with the Scuttle Crab on standby. So, Olaf, you even see the Rek'Sai being picked into what is going to be a bad matchup for the Rek'Sai. So, Suning starting out strong.
Now, want to see what Vici answers with the second time. They already picked up the Rek'Sai. But going back to the bans, they did take away the Sona. They don't want to see SMLZ on that once more and the other two flex picks. But that does mean we have the Ryze, we have the Jace still open.
And Silas. These are all picks, except for the Jace. These are all picks that are really bad versus the Olaf in lane. So I'm still going to leave that door wide open that they could just be BB wanting to pick it up into the possible AP top lane matchup. But remember, there's a flex pick for a reason. I don't want to see Suning picking up their jungle on first phase.
But Suning will pick up the Maple. Sorry, the Silas for Maple. It's becoming synonymous at this point because he has played it all 3 games in this series. Then we'll also get the Nautilus there for Sword Art.
You cannot pick up Nico Ultimate because they're the ones that banned it out. But the AP Lucian Ultimate is always something to just kind of, you know, cringe at. You don't want to deal with it.
Rusty just opened Twitter. No, he loves that one. But now we're going to have the Braum, Lucian bottom lane, very strong. Lots of early damage with that one with the passive from Lucian and Braum together.
And it's really hard for a Nautilus to deal with. First the Braum, but then you tag that one up with the Braum and Lucian. So already Vici Gaming nailing down what is going to be a great bottom lane for them. It doesn't matter that Lucian has a mid-range. Some matchups are pretty tough for him. I think Varus having the range advantage would be something, but if it's Varus and Nautilus, I mean, Braum can leave the lane and push the Nautilus out first, and Varus just has to kind of deal with that one. So Vici Gaming, once again, empowering their bottom lane.
Now Suning have the last ban available. They did take away one flex pick, but they're going to take away a top lane pick this time, getting away the Renekton there.
Renekton ban. I mean, Vici Gaming have counter pick here, so certainly the Renekton is always a good tool to deal with what can be great facilitators in the top lane. Do want to see what Bubu is thinking here, since he has a much safer lane to play with.
Ooh, Vici hovering around the Poppy pick. Haven't seen that one yet. This split, of course, but last split it was very popular with ADD, Amazing J as well.
You know what I want to see now?
What's that,
Give me Rumble. Yeah, I want to see a Rumble pick top lane. Like, while there is now a sudden risk of having too much AP in your composition, Kai'Sa deals far more AD than AP at this point. And the Rumble setup here, not only will it do great into the Poppy top lane, but man, does that burn the Rek'Sai and Lucian to a crisp. So we'll see what we end up seeing here from Bubu is hovering over the Swain. There are a lot of picks here.
He's got a lot of options to choose from, but he seems pretty solidly set on the Swain for the time being. But Vladimir was another option that he was choosing.
Vladimir is a great lane matchup versus the Poppy. So right now he's juggling between these matchups. Vladimir is perfect, locks it in. Great engage with the Nautilus picks. Ultimate is always there. I mean, Silas can also just jack the Braum ultimate there too. So there's a lot of ways that Suning can play this one out. If they want to disengage, steal Poppy ultimate. If you want just to poke someone down, you can use Lucian, or maybe if they end up locking this one in, use the Ezreal ulti. A lot of options here for Suning in these team fights, and a flank nailed down from Vladimir could change it for them.
Raz,
talk to me.
I have a confession.
Yep.
I think I may be in love with Vici's drafting phase.
Yeah, there we go. I talked about Long being an excellent drafting coach, but you know, it's not the coach most of the time. It's usually the players calling for it. I was sad. I was the type of person that was a little bit worried that, you know, no more Jay in the mid lane. We're seeing a lot more Ian, so maybe no more Lucian mid, right? Boom, right here. Ian comes right in and shows his flexibility. So
our hopes are still alive, right?
There we go. Carry the Lucian trophy along there. The torch of Lucian shall move forward.
Does mean, however, we are going to see a whole lot more AP callings coming out.
Yeah, it does.
That's always fun, just not for the people that are receiving it. So I'd be a little bit careful if I were Ian. But with that bait and switch, now they have the Ezreal Braum bot lane, also pretty strong, but it's going into Kai'Sa Nautilus. Gives them a little bit of safety.
Sunning's 1-3-1 is great. I think technically it'll be a 1-4 because if Lucian ends up matching the Sylas, he has to be rotating. The Lucian is going to be a major point to look at. I remember when it first came out, you know, Xie on Team WE picked up the Lucian to deal with SKT, Rift Rivals, multiple events actually, and a lot of it was just so much risk involved. For Lucian to be really viable in the mid lane at that time, and I believe still today, is that he has to be playing that lane on that tightrope. Also, like, consistently looking to trade with his E, always wanting to get the most damage across, and that puts you out and out to dry to the enemy jungler. So if the enemy jungler is there and your jungler is lagging behind and you've just dashed forward, easy kill. And I feel like that's always been the problems with Lucian, is that if he's trying to play out the lane as perfectly as he possibly can and not fall behind or, you know, come out of the lane even with a Sylas, you better have Yodang by your side.
He will have that opportunity on the Rex side. A lot of early gank potential. Chalitza, of course, having the Poppy to the later stages of the game. Vici once again coming in with a surprise for their draft, but the question is whether Suning has the mechanics, has the fundamentals there to make it their own game. It's match point, game number 3. Who's going to take home their first victory of the LPL Summer Split? We're going to find out.
Uh-oh. Don't walk too much.
Oh no, there's the engage, the level 1 first blood going over to the mid lane Lucian, and Ian is going to be real happy about that one. Oh, he wants more. He's looking for Maple. Not going to be able to find it just yet. He doesn't have teleport either, so he's not going to be able to back and get any items, but will have the additional 400 gold in his pocket as both junglers start off.
Good start to the game. That's what I love to see. And he's pushing the Sylas out. Don't enter. No entry fee. You got to pay a fine.
He will get into the lane for the experience, though, but doesn't get a whole lot of CS for it. Ian now having success already early game, zoning him out. So hopefully he can keep that going forward. Sword Art just playing in the defensive positioning there. Trying to maybe get a catch if they walk forward, but he's sitting on a ward. So instead, Puff and Southwind just going to be real happy there.
Might see a full clear coming through from Yodang. It really depends here. Might just pick up Raptor's red and then go for a Scuttle Crab top lane. Might be the best path for him. He definitely needs to be on the map. So if he finds himself going towards the Krugs and staying far up in to the top side of the map, then that puts Ian in a really tough spot, because take a look at this. Like, the lane right now is in a really tough position. Sure, he's really out trading here Maple, and that's to be expected, but you have to get a full clear to push this one into the tower and, you know, have it back in the middle part of the lane. So that's something that I'm looking towards and hoping that he doesn't get popped by Hacker.
It feels like that only gets scarier at level 6 too, because if Lucian can't clear away that wave, suddenly Hacker, he's got his level 6. That's going to be a Ragnarok Olaf just running straight at you, killing you, running you down. We saw exactly how effective that was coming out of the top lane last game from Chalitza. Now we got an engage in the bottom side. Not going to do a whole lot, just chunk down Southwind a little bit. Yeah,
I'm concerned for Yodang in that situation, not so much for Ian, but if you see how the wave has been treating him, I mean, maybe perhaps take a look at Olaf and see what his options are here. But the dash from Lucian should put him in a good spot. So I think he should be fine in that situation. Thankfully, Yodang is actually trading sides here, so not going to be meeting with the Olaf this early on.
Chalitza going to be running the Conqueror. Having to see this one a lot on a lot of champions recently. Gives you so much dueling power, a lot of sustain later in the gauge, a little bit of true damage. It just gives a lot, you know. And now Yodang going to be clearing out Gromp side there from Suning.
Remember, Q actually has 2 procs. If you can end up getting the wall slam on top for Vladimir, boom, boom, kind of like that. That actually gets you to your 5-hit proc pretty quickly. And because you're a melee champion, you keep those stacks for quite some time. So definitely very viable of being able to keep it. Take a look at Yodang in position for a possible dive, but the wave is actually fairly thin.
Oh, there's the stun. He's going to get a few stacks. He might try and take the solo kill. Yodang figures out that's his cue. There goes the kill. His first of the game.
He's a Rek'Sai abuser. Look what I just made a mention of. Yodang, when he has Rek'Sai and he's on blue side, he goes straight towards the bottom side of the map and wraps around Puff and Southwind. This time he's on red side, he does the exact same thing to the top side of the map. That's the type of things that top laners and bot laners know so well about, but you can't do anything about it. If BioBio wants to be in position to take the wave or trade evenly, just kind of just be a human being, then he just has to do it and can't be thinking and worrying about a Rek'Sai at all times. But, there we go. He finds an opening and gets the kill.
This will be helpful for Chalitza as well, because this time he did get the jungle attention. We were worried last game that his Olaf wasn't going to get a whole lot of attention coming out from Yodang, and it didn't, but it didn't matter that time because he ended up landing so well into it. This time, he's in a disadvantageous matchup, but he did get the attention.
And the reality here is Vici Gaming is looking so strong consistently in the early game. Every decision that they have been making around Yodang's presence has been felt.
Hacker, though, is ready for this one. Southwind goes in with the flash engage. Sword Art going to have to flash away, and now they see Hacker coming in. Oh, but it might be too late for Yodang. He tries to get the return kill, but not going to be able to. Hacker picks him up.
Finally, a gank has been responded to. That's a little bit risky.
Puff, you are in so much trouble. He doesn't have heal either. The flash forward from SMLZ, and that's the AD carry we were looking for Suning.
That one is a little bit of tilt inside of it. That's too much. Speaking of too much, BioBio's got to get out of here too. At least Vici Gaming's top side is doing well for itself, because the bottom lane is suffering.
Yeah, they're not doing too hot. That trade was a little bit too aggressive. The heal had already been used by Southwind, so they're not going to have that opportunity. Meanwhile, mid lane's still doing pretty well here. Raz, CS advantage hasn't been touched yet by Hacker.
Here's the problem though. You know what I was talking about, that tightrope is also heavily influenced by side lanes. And while Chalitza has been doing fantastically, so BioBio has, oh no, what are we doing? He's actually setting up for a possible dive with Rek'Sai in the area. My concern is that now Nautilus has some freedom to move towards mid lane. He's doing it right now.
Now Yodang going to spot this one out, however. So
it's good that he spotted it out, because if he had not done that, then Lucian is open for the pickings. So that's what I'm talking about. When that bottom lane went off, I was worried for Ian, because now he can't just perma shove out and try and trade on Maple whenever possible. Maple now has some room to breathe.
If you look towards the bottom lane, the itemization coming in, SMLZ this time going to be going for the Mura mana. We talked about it earlier. Does take a little bit of time for the scaling, but when you know you're against an Ezreal who's going to be building it too, it's a little bit more relaxing. Now, Maple has hit level 6. You might see the culling coming out if he really needs to clear the wave, but other than that, Ian just going to struggle and keep this wave away from his tower as Yodang rotates towards the bottom side of the map.
Oh, he got the full wave on that one too, so maybe, wait, can he get this cannon? He don't have his Q anymore. Wait, he should have his Q now. Oh, come on, Observer, I want to see it. This is what I live for. If people can get the cannon minions. I think this is literally why people pay that $15 for ProView, is for the cannon minions.
I love how much support you're putting behind it. LPL coming soon TM. We hope.
Yeah, maybe.
I want to see it, man.
We had it first when, yeah, we had it first. So obviously it wasn't consistent. I was like back in 2016 or 2017. One of those years that we had it. Was on every player. You didn't have to pay for it at all. And then it was gone. So that's story time over.
Nice.
A lot of stats.
It was kind of a melancholy story there, Raz.
That's what happens, man. I've been watching a lot of shows, and none of these shows have any good endings.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
They
always like end on something that was like, well, that sucks. I guess I'll continue to watch it to find anything that'll make me happy, and it never does.
The world was saved, but everyone died. It's like, okay,
yeah.
I guess. Sure.
The Sopranos is what I was watching, just as you know.
Ah.
That's the show that just always ends with something, like someone just fainting, and you're like, well, I mean, I would much rather the episode ended without that.
Southwind going to stay safe there as they land the stun.
At this point right now, both junglers do want to look towards the dragon that's up and available. And they both have their claim to this one, where I would say Olaf is moving there. Oh my goodness.
Dredgeline, and Southwind jumps right into it. Ignite's been
Get
down
him.
for him. Sword Art not going to die. SMLZ is just charging forward. He's still going for this, but Yodang is here. He didn't use the previous tunnel, but he's got the ultimate. He's going for the damage. Can they find it? Yep. Puff going to pick that one up. 1-1-1 now on this Ezreal.
Great response kill. In fact, that's going to be a far more impactful than the earlier kill Suning had there, because that means the Dragon. Vici Gaming, they were doing real rough there in the bottom side of the map, consistently getting poked in that position. And then when they died, I was like thinking, okay, that's awful. They lose turret plating, they lose the Dragon itself, but it was just SMLZ moving a little bit too far forward. Take a look at this. The initial kill that comes on to Southwind. Actually, I guess, yeah, there we go. He could have just backed away, but he wanted to get as much damage as possible on the Puff. That's just unnecessary damage. And so the reason why he took too long being able to get behind his own creeps was the extra bit of damage he tried on towards the Ezreal. Unfortunate. The Dragon is still up, so it seems like it wasn't enough time for them to feel comfortable picking it up.
That said, though, look towards the bottom lane at SMLZ once again, and he already has his Q evolve. So that's going to be a whole lot of damage. And Suning, for the first time, are going to be rotating first up towards the Rift Herald, their bottom lane up here. So this time it might not be Vici's.
Yeah, it might be Suning starting out in the Rift Herald with their dual lane being able to get the first shove. And while it's great, Puff and Southwind have been able to respond to this so they pick up the full wave here. I mean, Suning at the very least are going to get some good wards out here. So good stuff from Suning. We saw Vici Gaming being able to apply this pressure in the last 2 games. Finally, Suning's able to do the same.
Chalitza's has got plenty of pressure of his own. He is just continually trading down. That's the proc. Smack him down. It's hammer time, baby. Come on, Chalitza. Chase him down. He's just running still. Bio, he has to use the Crimson Rush. It's not enough. That was so much damage. And now Ian pops the culling down, but he has to flash away from Hacker's undertow.
Oh, my God. See, this is what happens. Jungler rears its head, and suddenly you can't play Lucian with as much freedom. And oh, no. He knew. He was afraid. He knew that it was going to turn into a dive. He needs to protect himself, and the ultimate had to be used for that.
But it will keep him half health while Chalitza is still struggling a little bit with the health of his own. So he won't have the opportunity to do any more of those all-ins for the time being.
Rift Herald's being taken, something we would, Observer hasn't been showing us just yet, but a lot of cover here. Both objectives, actually.
So Vici will trade away the Rift Herald, but they get the Dragon in return. But I think this time Suning's going to be happier with this trade significantly.
Yep. Ever since turret platings became a thing, legitimately, Rift Herald has always been the better play. While you can look towards the Mountain Dragon being a good gamble, depending on what the next few dragons could be, I mean, the immediate gold that it gives you is just irrefutable. And there's no one here to just push away the members of Suning so they don't get the gold as a response. So there we go. In fact, SMLZ able to rank up here, so he gets another evolution.
Looking for the damage on the Southland. They've got the damage onto the tower. Not quite able to get the 4th turret plating.
They're going to get it right here.
Should be just one more auto. Yep. But there it goes. They're able to pick that one up, but Ian's here as a response as well. Vici Gaming's bot lane is stuck under the tower. Gonna need a little bit of extra firepower to dissuade this one.
Yeah, it's a bit depressing because he actually loses out the wave by making that trade here. So might be able to pick it up as it comes, rotating straight back mid lane. In fact, he's in position to look for a gank on a Maple. I don't know about this one.
So he's looking for it, though.
He
gets the knockup. That's so much damage. Following up with the ultimate, has to flash away, but that doesn't matter. It's the solo kill coming out from Vici Gaming's jungler.
All right, he was able to do it. I was concerned knowing that Ian was not going to be a part of it. He's just going to stick to his own. Oh, no. SMLZ has been putting out that hurt. Going to be able to get the top lane. Okay, get out of there.
Okay. Sword Art trading flash for flash with Puff. And they are just going all in for this, man. SMLZ flashing, too.
Yeah,
I think that one was a little much.
He was flashing in solidarity. I respect it.
Love that kind of support.
Yep, 100%. That's how you... You can't shine your banners in the game, so you might as well flash in solidarity. Yeah.
Vici not going to be able to find that mid lane tower. Got pretty close, though. Now they're just going to back off, rotating Southwind down to the mid lane. It's basically like rotating your bottom lane mid, but you already had an AD carry there in the first place.
A lot of people here to help him protect Maple. But remember, there's not a lot of vision in the enemy jungle at this point, so Vici Gaming are just reacting to what they don't see. They're too afraid, so they don't want to actually press up on the tower. But now this is just tough for Vici. Sure, they were able to chip out the mid lane turret a little bit, but at this point, Sunny could just continuously play through their duo lane, and there's not much Vici Gaming can do. And it gives them the time because SMLZ is trying to scale up a little bit to be able to get towards his Muramana. And if he's able to do that unperturbed by the damage or pressure from Vici Gaming, knowing that they just don't have that damage, they're just legitimately minimizing what Ian has been trying to accomplish in the mid lane. Yeah, this is tough. Right now, Suning is in a great spot.
Ian, though, at the very least, does have the one completed item compared to Maple's just components. So he'll have a little bit of an advantage for the time being.
And while the Poppy has been rocking Dubio, remember, who has more gold? A near 20 CS advantage has been there for the Vladimir, as expected in the matchup. So at this point in time, Suning, everything's been going to plan, even with the very minuscule, it's already been completely nailed down, but the gold disadvantage, you could say. But it's been evened out. Suning has had the proper matchups been nailed out here.
They've had their macro on the right foot, too. This is something we didn't see as much during the first two games. Yes, Suning grabbed game number 1, but it was pretty sloppy. This, by comparison, is feeling a lot cleaner. So looking at the items again, Puff has finally finished both his first two items, so he'll start being able to match the stacking of SMLZ. SMLZ a little bit behind there, doesn't have the Ginsu's Rage Blade just yet, and he'll have to wait till the Stinger after that to get his E-Evolve. So the advantage of the Muramana build, you get your Q-Evolve faster, but your E-Evolve has to wait a little bit longer. Turret plating, 800 gold in the favor of Suning. They got all 5 in the top lane. And Vici just 640 because they got 4. Not a whole bad haul for Vici, but definitely looking better here for Biobio. Uh-oh.
Oh, you may have a problem, my friend.
Ian's about to get dove. Depth charge. Here it comes. Goodbye, Ian. He gets chunked out, and 4 members participate in that kill as the tower is under siege now.
Yeah, the full Crimson Rush combo there from Biobio as well. So you definitely had the full armada waiting to blow you down, but take a look at this. Once again, Maple is alone. Well, I guess SMLZ is here for him. See what he can do. He has the Poppy ultimate, can just kind of blow him away.
But Yodang was able to wait, and that's enough to get him away. No ultimate going to be able to follow up.
Yep, as expected. I mean, there's always that concern that Yodang could just use his ultimate to cancel that out. I think I haven't seen that interaction just yet, but I would expect it to work in that fashion, but wasn't able to get it off.
Not quite, but Chalice is going to keep pushing out, and the side lane's going to do what he can. He's made up for the CS deficit almost entirely, just down by 6 at this point. Still building tanky, still trying to make sure that Biobio can't have too much pressure on him. But things really aren't looking Vici's way at this point. Suning has been getting everything they've wanted so far. The only thing they've really lost is that Mountain Drake, which they answered with a Rift Herald. So, all in all, they're pretty happy with what's been happening so far.
It's just a slow pace is my point for Suning. At this point, they're kind of rolling the dice to see what the next dragon's going to give them. Let's just see what it is. Cloud Dragon. See, this is the sad part about it. Because at the end of the day, Suning are going to come out with 3 dragons. The Cloud, Ocean, or yeah, there's 2 dragons, I suppose. Trying to project too far off. With the Cloud and Ocean, and what does that actually give them with the amount of advantage that they've had? So once the clock strikes 20, it's much better for them to actually play towards the Baron buff itself. So that's what I'm expecting the change in strategy for Suning going to be. If it was an Infernal, then certainly that changes the style. But at the moment in time, it seems like if they want to be able to push their will onto Vici Gaming, play towards the top side of the map, Maple's getting caught out here.
Maple, you are not quite as able to sustain through these fights, but oh no, Sword going to get spotted out. Not going to get chased down though by Ian. Doesn't feel a whole lot, very confident with all the vision established because they don't really have much. They don't have a whole lot throughout the river. It's just mostly defensive in their own jungle.
Yeah, he had no one else to help him. That was just the saddest thing. If Lucian wanted to chase him down, Lucian could have chased him down. So glad that he was able to get out of there scot-free.
Right side of double AD carry, you're pretty quick at taking down the towers though, so Vici should be able to pick this one up, and they do. Mid lane tower down in favor of Vici. This time, Raz, they didn't really have to struggle for it.
Yeah, now I wonder how close he is going to be to his Black Cleaver. That's my question on this one, because I want to see what Ian could do in the side lanes. He has Ignite though, so of course, I want to see what okay, well, get out of there.
Flash for flash, Sword Art for Yodang, but means no Flash Baron Steel available if we're looking real far forward.
Okay, now you're looking too far forward. The immediate future right now is calling for a mid lane take.
Immediate future is that pick right there. SMLZ is here. That's so much damage there from the Evolved Q, and SMLZ will pick up his 3rd kill of the game. Sitting on the Man and Moon and the Ginsu's Rage Blade.
Sword's in the right spot. Take a look at him. Right now he's going to join his team. It seems like the pick is to kill Puff to eat in motion. I mean, in place, that is. He could have actually killed Puff on that one, but... Or at least blown his flash. I don't think he actually paid attention towards how he used his E.
I don't know if he even saw it. But now, they're trying to pressure Vici off the tower. The Culling's going to come out, but it's not going to do a whole lot of damage just yet. Ian still chasing down, trying to do as best he can. They'll stop this wave, but they don't have any tools for the next one.
Yeah. Puff doesn't have mana. He needs to go back to base. So it just needs to be on Ian to deal with the mid lane, and at the moment in time, it seems like he's in between. Yeah, he's recognized it. I was concerned because it looked like he wanted to pick up the top lane wave. You don't have anyone right now who's going to do that. That's the worst thing about it. Yeah, they're just going to have to give up this wave. That stinks. I think Lucian actually should have stayed with them. Wait, why are you leaving the mid lane turret? I am so sad. Suning had a free turret if they had committed to it.
Looks like they might be rotating back at the very least there from SMLZ and Sword Art.
Back where? They're looking towards mid. They're leaving mid.
They were looking towards it, Raz. They moved.
Jungler literally went to blue buff, my friend. I'm looking at the mini-map. They decided that it was like, no, it's okay. Lucian went top lane, and Ezreal doesn't have mana. I'm leaving the mid lane. That is the opposite of what you should do.
Getting confused on the holidays, man. Opposite days not for a while, but that's all right. Vici coming away with that. Pretty happy because they get to keep their mid lane tower. They get to keep their 200 gold lead, but it's closing fast. Sunni are looking pretty good in this game, a few mistakes aside.
I think at this point right now, if we're just looking at what the builds are coming out for Sunni, because they've been slowing this one down. They've completed their Muramana and Guinsoo's Rage Blade on SMLZ. At this point in time, he's stacked. Like, he does so much damage. They are really confident in their team fighting. And also on top of that, Maple is so close to being able to pick up his loot and Zekko, so... They're at a great spot in terms of just their itemizing. They're legitimately just waiting on one member to base with the amount of gold that he has. So, oh my God, he's even went back to pick up a Renan's Hurricane.
Yep.
SMLZ is stacked. He just one-shot that one. He one-shot the item. How much gold did he have, really?
At least 2,300 then.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
Pretty decent amount to have.
That's nice. Just sitting on the map saying, don't worry, guys. I will fool them with my lack of recipes.
He does mean he's not going to go for the hybrid build with the AP, but he's going to have plenty of crit AD damage there.
You definitely shouldn't go the hybrid. I mean, just because look at the composition. You have a Vladimir, Silas, and you're trying to go hybrid. That's not good, especially if you're going into a double tank there with Braum and Poppy. So you made the right choice in going AD. Okay, let's go.
Another engage from Sword Art. It's beautiful as the ever, and Depth Charge lands on the Puff, but he's back in the fight. Means Suning doesn't feel like they can keep going forward.
All right, maybe we got... This is a good call overall from Suning to be able to push this one through. Remember, 22 minutes into this game. They have mid lane push too. They could look to pivot for a fight, or I'm surprised they're leaning bot side for the Cloud Dragon, because vision around the Baron itself is super important.
Double AD carry as well from Vici, so they could try and threaten. They will threaten the vision. So Cloud Drake goes over to Suning. And Ian just going to rotate towards the top side, keep it vision, keep it cleared. But now, Suning have picked up the Dragon, second of the game, and they can look at getting Baron vision once again.
They do need to base, though. They don't have too much control wards underneath them. The Trinket's been used by Sword Art leading into the pit. And right now, you only really have one control ward from Hacker. That's not good enough. So I like the fact that they were seeing the team start to head back to base. Sword Art's already gone back. Hacker's doing the same.
But if we look on VG's side, we do have some items coming out. It looks like at least one of the 80 carries is going for a hybrid build, Raz, because Puff has picked up Luton's Echo, got his 3 items. Ian looking at his 2 items as well. Black Cleaver and Blade of the Ruin King completed. So we're getting some power specs on the side of Vici. They have their chance to come back into this one.
Yeah, if we're just talking about raw damage, if you're not going up against a pretty beefy lineup, the only beef we're talking about here is Sword Art, and that's not really good enough for you to go towards Blade of the Rune King. So that's why we're essentially seeing an Ezreal go towards the Luton's Echo and later on the Gunblade. So that's what I'm expecting here from him. He does a lot of damage to the squishy carries is the whole play. So it's going to be fun to see if he got his full WQ procced onto, let's say, SMLZ. Should really chunk him down like 50% HP. I love seeing this in play.
Me too. I think one of my favorite things is this specific matchup, there's so much itemization variability between these two AD carries because Kai'Sa, we've seen in competitive play, start at least 3 different items. Ezreal, you can go the tier build, you can go for the Trinity Force, you can go hybrid, you can go the on-hit.
I would agree in solo queue for Kai'Sa. I think the only thing we don't see in recent play is the Nashor's Tooth at all in competitive play, just because, I mean, primarily you just see too many AP topside, and on top of that, it's just nice to, like, you would much rather have the Runon's Hurricane for the wave clear overall. So there's a lot that comes into play there, but 100%. I mean, I'm just a big fan of Ezreal throughout the metas, ruining items for everybody. That you're like, well, that jungle item or that support item, yeah, that's an Ezreal item now, and for now it looks like it's going to be the mid lane item of the Luden's Echo. But here comes the Baron Rush.
All right, they're looking for it, 8,000 health. They want to turn on to Vici, the teleport coming in. I don't know about this one. Chalitza is going to be in a lot of danger, but he is beefy. He's going to get chunked out. The Q from SMLZ not quite going to be able to find him, but Puff's getting chased down by Biobio. He has to flash over the wall, and now Ian is the only one there in the fight. Chalitza gets a good knockback. They're going to stay in this fight. SMLZ's in trouble. He has to use the killer instinct to keep himself safe, but now he has the return damage, and Suning turn it into an ace. The triple kill going over to Kai'Sa. No, scratch that, the quadra kill, and soon the Baron. Suning turning this one around.
That was so close. The damage that Ian had in the fight. SMLZ so close to death, but having that shield in tow with his ultimate. My God, SMLZ's back in action.
Woo! That's all I got to say about that one. SMLZ, that was absolutely disgusting. He was down to something like 200 HP at most, and then saved himself with the killer instinct, kited back beautifully, and ended up wiping the team of Vici.
I was shocked that Vici Gaming had a shot at this. Take a look at this team fight overall. Silas had kept Ian out of this fight for so long. While Suning had backed up so they can play this one out properly front to back, Maple had kept Ian out of the fight. Chalitza was almost dead. Puff was very close to dead. Biobio is the one that mispositioned. And while his misposition nearly cost his team, look at SMLZ. Just so much damage, repositioned himself. Look at how close he was to death, but then Triumph pushes him back to 40% HP for that quadra kill.
Triumph is disgusting.
Yeah, it is.
Especially on that AD carry now. 7-1-3. He full bought a Runon's Hurricane last time. This time he full bought an Infinity Edge. Somebody stop this man, please.
Yeah, you must not go to the shop anymore. As you can see, the Colonel has decided to change his mind once again. I respect his ability to just, his freedom of thought and speech. Saying that I can change my mind no matter what. No decision is final until the game ends.
That's right. This time, Suning, they've made the decision to start winning the game, and it's working out pretty well for them so far. They've got a 5K gold lead. A lot of pressure down onto this bottom lane tower. The next dragon is spawning soon. It's going to be a Cloud Drake. So get double Cloud. Not exactly the happiest dragon to have spawning, but hey, another one in the pocket. That'll be nice when Elder comes around.
I mean, I think at this point they should ignore it. Unless if they're just looking to base, but the level of pressure that they have with Baron buff is immeasurable. Continue to play through your Baron buff. Look to continue to eat up the jungle camps as well, so they're not able to pick that one out. They're starved for experience. There's so much here from Suning to be able to accomplish. I think right now what we should see from Hacker and Biobio while they push this one out, go and join them in mid lane and try and crash a wave there, see how much damage they can get. They're not here for it, but wow, that's free damage. Wait a minute. Okay.
SMLZ's got to be careful. They're just engaging 2 versus 5, and they get a kill. SMLZ is so unbelievably fed at this point. Biobio comes in with the Hemo Plague. The double kill for SMLZ. A literal 3v5. They pick up 2 kills, lose no one.
Yeah, Kai'Sa does a lot of damage with the Muramana. Just blows them up. All right, let's see what anyone can do to stop him.
Nothing? No one? Probably the smart play at this point. 50 seconds remaining on the Baron buff. This will be the bottom lane
ultimate.
inhibitor.
Boom.
Wow.
Yeah,
all right.
Goodbye.
Half his health gone. It's going to be 1 inhibitor down. This is going to make it 2. They have the potential to end here if they really want to push it, but they're not really going to have to.
I think we've seen too much LPL footage of IMA of old, losing games trying to end randomly. So you're going to take some time here.
They have the opportunity now to push this one up in the top lane. We'll be able to get the inner top lane tower. Believe there won't be much time for Vici to contest this one.
It's going to be rough, especially with the 2 inhibitors down. You can see a teleport coming in here just so he can join his team.
They're really rushing for this one, and if they stall long enough, despite losing the Baron buff, they'll still have similar pressure in the side lanes because they're going to have those super minions.
Take a look at, oh wow, that's a lot of damage. So yeah, so watch out now. Puff just blasted your jungler. It was looking good up until the point that Puff eviscerated Hacker's HP. That's why I love the build. He's getting close to his Gunblade too, so that's the point that I was talking about. I was a little bit surprised that he got the Ludens before the Gunblade, but you could see he was behind the entire game, so having that Q damage from Luden's Echo is always going to be valuable. Oh, they might get the Earth Dragon here. If they get Mountain Drag, that would cause them to have like, wow, I was about to give the most John Madden explanation ever. That would give them 2 Mountain Drags. So yeah, but it's just me. Oh, wait, unless
SMLZ is coming in.
Wow.
That's almost the solo. It is the solo kill. He's challenging it. He's looking for a second one. I think Vici just threw the game.
I mean, they didn't have the game to throw to begin with. They were done. This was beautiful from SMLZ. They didn't even get the chance to move for a Mountain Dragon while they were just out and about in the mount. So, yeah, this one's over.
Now SMLZ just going to run this one through. That's a whole lot of damage onto Chalitza. You may be tanky, but you're not tanky enough to take care of SMLZ. So much damage, he finally takes him out. SMLZ just threatening them in the fountain, no less. They're looking for Puff. They want to find this one. BOBO going to be safe despite the fountain doing its best efforts. And Suning, they've pulled it back. Game number 3, they cleaned it up a little bit. Besides the fountain dive, they're going to be pretty happy with this one. Just going to get a little bit of padding on the KDA. Padding on the beginning.
Like, there are just so many issues that really begs to question, like, what's happening internally. But this one answers a lot of them. Like, can they start this split off strong? Yeah, it looks like they can. So great response from Suning. It took 3 games to get the job done, but they got it done.
I really love this gold graph too, because it looks, it's just, you can tell exactly when they hit the SMLZ button. It's around that 25-minute mark where it's just like nothing, 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 6K gold lead. They absolutely blew this one wide open off the back of SMLZ, and he played so beautifully on that Kai'Sa.
If I'm trying to bet how much damage he's done in terms of like damage percentage, I think it's about 50. I think that's a 50%
right.
damage percentage right there. The rest of his team was legitimately not dealing damage. BLBO was in the side lane more often than not. You could say queuing Chalitza, but he was actually having problems in the side lane, which is why he wasn't able to consistently pull in the damage. So there we go, man. I mean, like, you get it done.
It's definitely in the high 40%. I'm still trying to do the math, but you know what? I think I have an inkling that we might be seeing it in the MVP screen. Nothing finalized yet.
You sure about that?
I'm hoping so.
You sure BOB's not going to get that? He has a good face. You see a smile? That's an MVP smile.
I said MVP smile, but was it an MVP Kai'Sa performance? I think it was from SMLZ.
There we go.
SMLZ, he doesn't have a whole lot of smiles, but I think after this game, we might, if we looked under a microscope, see the corners of
his name
corners of the mouth.
Smile, so I'm gonna take that. Like, this is what I love to see from the team, is understanding what their identity is. We came into the series trying to figure out, like, can they play to that? And I think that that was accomplished. Now, remember, the rocky roads that they had to get that win, like the series win, is always going to play in concerns, because the problem is fans are still going to expect this team to make it to playoffs. Fans are still going to expect this team to at least make a series happen, so, like, get past round 1 of playoffs. And while that's a long way off, struggling versus Vici Gaming, the last place team of last split, is never going to be something that people feel happy with. But the levels of, I'd say, preparedness, I think they were prepared in Game 3. I think we saw them level up after the second game. Them being able to adapt is a big plus no matter what. So I want to see what series they have next. It's definitely going to be a boost up in competition. I want to be able to see if they can just wrap it up a little cleaner.
And I think going forward as well, one of the things we talked about is one of their big issues with communication. And that's one of those things that, as we were saying, is a long-term process. So they still have that growth that they're looking for. And yes, playoffs is far away, but I think that's an advantage, if anything, for Suning, because they have that time to work on the communication. They have that time to better themselves and prepare for that.
And remember what adaptation we saw, the communication we saw in this series, because in the first 2 games, Vici Gaming were very easily able to get early game advantages. In fact, in Game 3, I think they were able to do the exact same thing with the early gank topside. And so, like, if they're consistently around 8 and 9 minutes being able to pick up that Rift Herald, play for tower gold top lane, you're like, well, what can we do against that? We can be the team that actually makes that first move. So Suning was able to do that in Game 3, was able to dictate it and play around SMLZ so safely. My biggest worry with Suning as a team around SMLZ is that whenever they have that gold lead, something happens that delays gold or delays for a play, and SMLZ either gets picked out because Sword Art is out roaming. We didn't see that game. That says a lot, actually, moving on to the next few series, because that shows a level of consistency for Suning that we didn't get to see. I still want to see what, when we're talking about styles clashing, I want to see what happens when Suning goes up against slower-paced teams as well, like RNG and, more importantly, BLG. Teams that, like BLG, says we can do it better, because games like these where they're not taking the most, like, they're not getting the most out of their vision, or they're not really playing as actively as possible when the enemy team has a lead, that makes me a little worried. But I think we're seeing good stuff here, and I think they'll be ready for the teams once they get there.
It's unfortunate, Raz, because now I'm thinking about BLG versus Suning, and I'm really wishing, wishing we could see it now, because that's going to be an exciting one. As we saw, I mean, they almost made it to playoffs, but honestly, BLG, this is a bit of a sidebar, but I want to talk about it, because BLG, they didn't make it, Sino Dragons slotted in ahead of them, but honestly, their last series of the split, I was like, yes, BLG, this is exactly what I want to see, and I can't wait to see their first game as well, because I think with Kuro at the helm, things definitely improved at that latter half of the split for them.
So the thing about the LPL, and what I love is beautiful, is that the teams that are fighting for 8th place, they're fighting, and they're all teams that can get to the finals. Like, we even saw that with JDG, that could either go 5th or 8th. They got 8th place. They were 8th seeded and still made that run. BLG, as you mentioned, like, we're a team that were going up against the best team in the LPL, and they were able to make that run. Suning, while they were making that bid to get 8th place last time around, no one believed they could make that run. I still think that they have the quality of players. If they're in the right mindset, much like Imp and Lumao when they made that run, they can just turn it on. So, like, bringing it back to this team and Suning being able to get the win today, I think that if they are able to find it in the playoffs, they can make any playoff series magical. So I would love to see this team. I would want to see, more importantly, BuBu's growth as a top laner, because one thing you can't have is inexperience and lacking confidence in a top lane, because that's one important piece of the map that they need to use. And so far, he looked confident.
Speaking of confidence, we do have our MVP. It's going to be SMLZ. And
what's the damage percentage?
I'm gonna guess.
Oh, what?
I was going to say 47, but 49, that's a whole lot better.
Statisticians, please round it up 50%.
Give me the 50.
Give me 50. That actually pisses off anybody that's just like obsessive compulsive.
Because look at that. Look at what's right above it. 100% kill participation.
Oh.
If we'd had 50% damage and 100% kill participation.
Technically, it doesn't round up because it's 49% 0.2. But I'm just talking about the larger percentage point. Anyways, he blew people up. He was a fantastic Kaisa. 12, 1, and 5. These are just the stat points, but to the eye test, there are many plays in the game. A team fight around Baron buff that really nailed it down when he had like 10 HP. He was in single digits, but had the extra shield because he ulted at the right time. and then just blew out the competition. When you see games like that, that's when you believe in SMLZ being a top 2, top 3 AD carry in the league. But he needs to show that consistency. And that's always my issue here is that, you know, when times get rough and you go in towards playoff time, that's when the team that he's on tends to crumble. I'm talking about OMG of the past, that issue that came up, Rogue Warriors in the past, and, you know, how the team communication kind of weighted against them, and they got basically overtaken by both JDG and EDG. So I think that now he has a great shot with this team as long as he plays to his top potential, and that would what we just saw right there.
Just hoping to see consistency going forward from SMLZ and Suning, but we're consistently excited for any series that involve IG. That's going to be coming up next. IG versus Dominus eSports. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon.